The day the door locked. Part 1. The key that didn't turn. The taxi pulled away from the curb, leaving Maya standing on the sidewalk with 2 suitcases and a backpack that cut into her shoulders. She'd been gone 3 months, 12 weeks of sleeping on her friend Rachel's couch in Portland while she completed a certification program that was supposed to change everything. Web development, a new career, a way out. She was 27 years old, and she was coming home. The house looked the same, small, ranch style, the beige paint peeling near the gutters. The lawn needed mowing. Her mother's car sat in the driveway, that old Honda Civic with the dent in the passenger door from when Maya had backed into the mailbox at 16. She remembered her mother's face that day, not angry, just tired, already tired of her. Maya dragged her suitcases up the 3 concrete steps to the front door. Her key was on the ring with her apartment key from before, the one she'd surrendered when she moved back home 2 years ago after her relationship with Derek imploded. That key had felt like failure then. This key, she'd told herself, was temporary. She slid it into the lock. It didn't turn. Maya pulled it out, checked it, tried again. Nothing. The key went in, but the lock wouldn't budge. She jiggled it, applied pressure, tried turning it the other way. Maybe she'd forgotten which direction opened her own front door. What the hell? She rang the doorbell. Waited. Rang it again. Longer this time. The curtain in the front window moved. Just slightly. A shadow behind it. Watching. "Mom?" Maya called out. "Mom, the key doesn't work. Can you let me in?" Nothing. She rang the doorbell again, then knocked. 3 sharp raps that hurt her knuckles. "Mom, I know you're in there. I can see your car." The door opened 6 inches. The chain was on. Her mother's face appeared in the gap. Patricia Chen had aged in 3 months. Or maybe Maya was just seeing her clearly for the first time in a while. The lines around her mouth were deeper. Her eyes were hard. "Maya, the key doesn't work. Did something happen to the lock?" "I changed it." The words hung in the air between them. Maya's brain tried to process them, to find the logical explanation. "You... what? Why would you change the locks?" "Because you don't live here anymore." "Mom, what are you talking about? I've been in Portland for 3 months. I told you I was coming back today. We talked about this." "We talked about a lot of things." Patricia's voice was flat, rehearsed. "You're an adult, Maya, 27 years old. It's time you stood on your own 2 feet. I am standing on my own 2 feet. I just finished a program that's going to help me get a real job. I told you this was temporary." "Everything with you is temporary. Your job at the bookstore was temporary. Your relationship with that boy was temporary. Living here was supposed to be temporary 2 years ago." Maya felt something cold spreading through her chest. "So you changed the locks?" "Yes." "While I was gone?" "Yes." "Without telling me?" Patricia's jaw tightened. "I'm telling you now. You can't stay here anymore, Maya. You need to figure your life out somewhere else. This is my home. This is my house." "Mom, all my stuff is in there. My clothes, my computer, I packed your things. They're in the garage." Patricia started to close the door. "Wait!" Maya shoved her hand against it. "You can't just kick me out. You can't do this." "I can, and I am. You're not a child. I don't owe you a place to live." "I live here. I've lived here for 2 years. Before that, I grew up here. You can't just..." "Find somewhere else, Maya." Patricia's voice cracked slightly, but her face remained stone. "You always land on your feet. You'll figure it out." The door closed. The deadbolt clicked. Maya stood there, staring at the brown paint, at the small dent near the handle from when she'd run into it with her bike at age 12. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. She rang the doorbell again, pounded on the door. "Mom! Mom!" No answer. She called her mother's cell phone. It rang inside the house. No one picked up. Maya sank down onto the top step, her suitcases beside her like abandoned children. A car drove past. Mrs. Henderson from 3 houses down was getting her mail. She waved. Maya didn't wave back. You don't have a home here. The words kept repeating in her head, each time landing harder. She pulled out her phone and called Rachel. Hey, you make it home okay? Rachel's voice was cheerful, unsuspecting. Rachel, Maya's voice broke. Rachel, she changed the locks. What? Who? My mother. I just got here and the locks are different and she won't let me in and… The words tumbled out in a rush, barely coherent. Wait, slow down. Your mom locked you out? She said I don't live here anymore. She said… Maya pressed her palm against her forehead. She said it's her house and I need to figure my life out somewhere else. Jesus, Maya, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I can't afford a hotel. I barely have any money left from the program and I used almost everything to pay for the taxi from the airport. Can you get your stuff, at least? She said it's in the garage, but the garage door is locked too. I can't… Maya's throat was closing up. Rachel, I don't understand. Why would she do this? There was a pause on the other end. Do you think… is this legal? Can she just kick you out like that? I don't know. I don't know anything. Maya looked up at the house. Her mother's shadow was still visible behind the curtain, watching. I feel like I'm going crazy. Listen, Rachel said, her voice shifting into problem-solving mode. First things first, you need a place to stay tonight. Can you crash with anyone local? Maya mentally ran through her limited options. Most of her friends from high school had moved away. The few who remained, she'd lost touch with. There was her cousin James, but he lived in his parents' basement and they weren't on great terms. Her Aunt Linda, but she lived 2 hours away and Maya didn't have a car. I don't think so. Okay. How much money do you have? Maybe $200 in my account, if that. That's enough for a cheap motel for a few nights. Get yourself somewhere safe, and then tomorrow you need to figure out your legal options. This can't be right, Maya. You've been living there. You get mail there, right? Then you're a resident. She can't just change the locks without going through eviction procedures. I think. I'm not a lawyer, but that's what I've heard. Maya wiped her eyes. I should call someone. Definitely. Is there a legal aid office in your area? Or maybe call the police non-emergency line and ask them what your rights are? The police? The idea made Maya's stomach turn. I don't want to get the police involved. She's my mother. Your mother just locked you out of your home, Maya. The words landed like a slap. Home. Was it her home if her mother could simply decide it wasn't? Let me make some calls, Rachel said. There's got to be someone who can help. In the meantime, find somewhere to stay tonight. Don't sleep on the street. Promise me. I promise. After they hung up, Maya sat for another 20 minutes on the front step. The sun was starting to set. The shadow behind the curtain had disappeared. She pulled up her banking app. $237.16. That was it. That was everything between her and complete disaster. Then she remembered something her father used to say, back when he was still alive, back before everything fell apart. Make sure you know what's yours. Part 2. What's written in blood. The Super 8 motel on Route 47 smelled like cigarettes and cleaning chemicals. The room was $65 a night, which meant Maya had enough for 3 nights, maybe 4 if she didn't eat much. The bed had a suspicious stain on the comforter that she chose not to examine too closely. She pushed it onto the floor and lay down on the sheets, staring at the popcorn ceiling. Her phone buzzed. Text from her mother. Your things are in the garage. You can pick them up tomorrow between 2 and 4 p.m. After that, I'm donating everything. Maya's hands clenched around the phone. She typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, why are you doing this? The response came immediately. Because it's time. You need to grow up. Maya threw the phone onto the other bed and screamed into a pillow that smelled like other people's hair. She cried for an hour. Then she stopped crying and started thinking. The house on Maple Street that she'd lived in for 27 years. The house her father had died in, collapsing in the kitchen at age 51 from a heart attack while Maya was at college. The house her mother had somehow kept despite being a part-time dental hygienist with medical bills and a mortgage. How had her mother kept the house? Maya sat up, her mind suddenly sharp. She grabbed her laptop from her backpack, thank God she'd had it with her, and opened it on the cigarette-burned desk. She started searching through her email, old emails from years ago. She searched for house and mortgage and property. There, an email from her father's lawyer, dated 6 months after his death. Maya had been 21, barely functioning, drowning in grief and guilt for not being home when he died. She'd barely read it at the time. She read it now. Dear Maya, as executor of your father's estate, I wanted to update you on the distribution of assets per his will. The house at 425 Maple Street has been transferred per his instructions. As you know, Michael wanted to ensure both you and your mother had security. Maya's heart was pounding now. She kept reading. The property has been deeded to both you and Patricia Chen as joint tenants with right of survivorship. This means you each own an undivided 50% interest in the property. The mortgage has been satisfied through Michael's life insurance policy. She read the paragraph 3 times. You each own an undivided 50% interest in the property? Holy shit, Maya whispered. She searched through more emails, found the attachment, a PDF of the deed transfer, signed and notarized. There was her name, Maya Nicole Chen. There was her mother's name, Patricia Ann Chen, both listed as owners. Her father had left her half the house. Maya's hands were shaking so hard she could barely control the trackpad. She'd known her father had left things to her. There'd been a small amount in a savings account, maybe $8,000, which she'd used for college expenses. But the house? She'd assumed it went to her mother. She'd been 21 and overwhelmed, and her mother had handled everything, and Maya had signed whatever papers were put in front of her without really reading them. But the house was half hers, had been half hers for 6 years. She grabbed her phone and called Rachel back. I found something, Maya said as soon as Rachel answered. Rachel, I found something. What? What did you find? My father's will, the deed to the house. Rachel, it's mine. Half of it is legally mine. My dad left it to me and my mother as joint owners. She can't kick me out. It's my house too. Rachel let out a long breath. Oh my God. Maya, are you sure? I'm looking at the deed right now. Both our names are on it. Equal ownership. Does your mom know? Maya paused. She has to know. She was there when the lawyer went through everything. She signed the same papers I did. Then why would she? Oh shit. What? She's counting on you not knowing, or not remembering, or being too scared or too broke to do anything about it. Maya, she's trying to bluff you. The words settled into Maya's chest like stones. Her mother had looked her in the eye and said, "This is my house." Had said it with complete confidence. Had said it knowing it was a lie. What do I do? Maya asked. You get a lawyer. Tomorrow. First thing. I can't afford a lawyer. Rachel, I have $200. What about legal aid? There's gotta be free legal services for this kind of thing. Housing rights or whatever. Let me look some stuff up and text you some numbers. After they hung up, Maya sat in the dim motel room, the deed still glowing on her laptop screen. She read her father's name at the bottom. Michael Thomas Chen. His signature, that slanted scrawl she'd recognize anywhere. He'd tried to take care of her. Even after death, he'd tried to make sure she'd be okay. And her mother had tried to take it away. Part 3. The Advocate. The Riverside County Legal Aid Office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation service. Maya arrived at 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes before they opened, because she was terrified they'd run out of appointments or turn her away. The waiting room had 7 other people in it by the time the receptionist unlocked the door. Maya filled out forms, waited, filled out more forms, waited. At 11:30, a woman called her name. Maya Chen? The woman was maybe 40, black, with natural hair pulled back in a head wrap and glasses that kept sliding down her nose. She wore a blazer over a t-shirt that said, "Nevertheless," she persisted. "I'm Lorraine Blayams. Come on back." They sat in a small office with a fake plant and a poster about tenant rights. Lorraine had a coffee mug that said, "World's okayest lawyer," and a stack of folders that looked ready to avalanche off her desk. "So," Lorraine said, pulling out a legal pad, "tell me what's going on." Maya told her everything: the locks, the text messages, the deed she'd found. Lorraine listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. When Maya finished, Lorraine sat back in her chair. "Can I see the deed?" Maya pulled it up on her phone and handed it over. Lorraine studied it for a long moment. "Well," she said finally, "your mother's got some nerve, I'll give her that." "So I'm right? She can't kick me out?" "Not only can she not kick you out, she's potentially opened herself up to a world of legal trouble." Lorraine handed the phone back. "You are a co-owner of this property, joint tenancy. That means you have an equal, undivided interest in the entire property. You have every right to live there. She can't change the locks without your permission. She definitely can't evict you without going through proper legal channels, which, since you're an owner, would be essentially impossible." Maya felt something break open in her chest. Relief, but also rage. "So what do I do?" "First, you need to assert your rights. I'm going to draft a letter for you to send to your mother, certified mail, so we have proof she received it. It'll explain your legal ownership and demand that she restore your access to the property immediately. And if she doesn't, then we file a partition action or a motion for access. Basically, we ask the court to enforce your ownership rights. Given that you're legally entitled to possession and she's actively preventing you from accessing your own property, a judge will likely rule in your favor quickly." "How quickly?" "Could be a few weeks, could be faster if we can get an emergency hearing. The fact that she's locked you out and you're now homeless, do you have a place you're staying?" "Motel. But I can only afford a few more nights." Lorraine frowned. "Okay, we might be able to argue that she's engaged in constructive eviction, which is illegal. Plus, the fact that she's holding your belongings hostage is another issue. We could potentially get you back in the house within days if we push hard enough." Maya felt dizzy. This is really happening. It's really happening. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Taking legal action against a parent is hard, emotionally hard. Are you prepared for that? Maya thought about the shadow behind the curtain, the flat, cold voice saying, "You don't live here anymore." The calculated cruelty of changing the locks while she was 3 states away. "She didn't leave me much choice," Maya said. "No," Lorraine agreed. "She really didn't." Part 4, the paper trail. Lorraine worked fast. By the end of the day, Maya had a letter to send to her mother. It was typed on legal headerhead and used words like unlawful exclusion and interference with property rights and immediate legal action. It concluded, "Ms. Chen is entitled to immediate and unrestricted access to the property at 425 Maple Street. Failure to restore such access within 48 hours will result in the filing of emergency motions with the court." Maya read it 3 times in the post office parking lot before sealing it in the certified mail envelope. Her hands shook as she handed it to the postal worker. "Sending something important?" she asked, seeing Maya's face. "Something necessary," Maya said. Back at the motel, she called Rachel. "I did it. I sent the letter." "How do you feel?" "Terrified. Sick. I just declared war on my own mother." "She declared war first," Rachel said quietly. "You're just defending yourself." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about her father, about the last conversation they'd had before he died. She'd called him from her dorm room, stressed about a biology exam she was sure she was going to fail. "You're tougher than you think, Maya Bean," he'd said. That old nickname from when she was little. "You get that from me. We're survivors." She wished he was here now. Wished she could ask him if he'd known this would happen someday. If he'd left her the house because he knew her mother couldn't be trusted to take care of her. The next day, Maya went to the house at 2 p.m. to collect her things from the garage. Her mother wasn't there, or at least she didn't come out. The garage door was open and Maya's belongings were stacked in cardboard boxes along the wall. 7 boxes. 27 years of life packed into 7 boxes. She'd borrowed Rachel's truck. Rachel had driven down that morning, taken one look at Maya, and said, "I'm not letting you do this alone." Together, they loaded the boxes. Maya's old guitar, her high school yearbooks,
clothes, books, the framed photo of her and her father at her college graduation, him beaming in his too big suit, her in her cap and gown with her arm around his waist. She held that photo for a long moment. Rachel pretended not to notice her crying. Rachel asked when everything was loaded. "No," Maya said, "but let's go anyway." They stored the boxes in a climate-controlled unit Rachel helped pay for. Maya would pay her back, somehow, eventually. That evening, Maya got a text from an unknown number. "This is Lorraine. Your mother signed for the letter 2 hours ago. The 48-hour clock is now running." Maya stared at the message. Somewhere, her mother was reading that letter, reading her daughter's name on legal letterhead, reading words like property rights and unlawful exclusion.
What was she thinking? Was she angry? Scared? Shocked that Maya had actually fought back? Did she regret it? Maya's phone rang. It was her mother. She let it ring 4 times before answering. "Hello? Maya?" Her mother's voice was tight. "What is this letter?" "It's exactly what it says." "You got a lawyer? You're threatening to sue me?" "I'm asserting my legal rights to my own property. The house Dad left me. The house I've been paying for. The house I've maintained, paid taxes on, kept running for 6 years while you bounced around doing God knows what. The house that's legally half mine. You ungrateful." Patricia stopped herself, took a breath. "Maya, don't do this. Don't make this ugly." "I didn't make it ugly, Mom. You changed the locks. You threw me out. You told me I didn't have a home. Because you need to learn to stand on your own. I was trying to help you." "By making me homeless? By forcing you to grow up?" Patricia's voice cracked. "Do you know what it's been like, watching you fail at everything? Watching you give up on school, give up on jobs, come crawling back here every time life gets hard? I can't do it anymore, Maya. I can't watch you waste your life." The words hurt, because they were partly true. Maya had failed at things, had given up, had come home when things fell apart. But not anymore. "I have 48 hours to respond to that letter, and then what? You take me to court? Drag your own mother into a courtroom? If that's what it takes to get back into my own house, yes." "Half," Patricia said. "Half the house. Not the whole thing. Half." "I know." "So what's your plan, Maya? You force your way back in and we live together. After this, you think that's going to work?" Maya hadn't thought that far ahead, hadn't let herself think about what it would actually mean to live with her mother after everything. "I don't know," she admitted. "But that's my problem to figure out. Not yours. It's both of our problems, because we're stuck with each other now, aren't we? That's what your father did. He tied us together. He tried to take care of both of us. He tried to control things from the grave," Patricia said bitterly. "Typical Michael, always thinking he knew best." Maya felt her anger crystallizing into something cold and hard. "Don't talk about him like that." "I'll talk about him however I want. I was married to him for 23 years. I know who he was better than you did. Then he would hate what you're doing right now." Silence on the other end. Then, "I'm not giving you a key, Maya. Sue me if you want, but I'm not making this easy for you." The line went dead. Maya sat on the motel bed, phone still pressed to her ear, listening to the dial tone. She said to the empty room. She called Lorraine. "We need to file," Maya said. "Whatever it takes, I want back in that house." Part 5. The courtroom. Lorraine got them an emergency hearing. It took 8 days. 8 days of Maya living in the Super 8, eating ramen and granola bars, watching her bank account dwindle to double digits. Rachel had offered to loan her money. Maya had refused. She'd spent too much of her life being dependent on other people. This was her line in the sand. The courthouse was smaller than Maya expected, less like what she'd seen on TV, and more like a DMV with wood paneling. She met Lorraine outside courtroom 3B. "Your mom's here. She has a lawyer." Maya's stomach dropped. "She got a lawyer?" "Don't worry, I looked him up. He's a general practice guy who mostly does wills and traffic tickets.
He's out of his depth. They went inside. The courtroom was nearly empty. Just the judge, the court reporter, Maya and Lorraine at one table, and Patricia and her lawyer, a nervous-looking man in his suit that didn't quite fit at the other.
Maya hadn't seen her mother since that day on the doorstep. Patricia looked smaller somehow, older. She stared straight ahead, not looking at Maya. The judge was a woman in her 60s with reading glasses on a chain. She read through the motion, her face neutral. "Miss Williams," she said finally, "you're arguing that your client has been unlawfully excluded from her own property?" Lorraine stood. "Yes, Your Honor. Miss Chen is a legal co-owner of the property in question, as evidenced by the deed filed with the county. Her mother changed the locks while Miss Chen was out of state, and has refused to provide her with access to the property or her personal belongings." "Mr. Harrison?" The judge looked at Patricia's lawyer. The man stood, shuffling papers. "Your Honor, while it's true that Miss Chen's name is on the deed, this is a family matter that should be resolved privately. Mrs. Chen has valid concerns about her daughter's lifestyle choices, and—" "Mr. Harrison," the judge interrupted, "is your client disputing that the plaintiff is a legal owner of the property?" "Well, no, but is your client disputing that she changed the locks and refused access?" "Your Honor, there are extenuating circumstances." "That's a yes or no question, counsel." Harrison looked at Patricia. Patricia nodded slightly. "No, Your Honor, she's not disputing those facts." The judge turned to Lorraine. "And your client is currently without access to the property or her belongings?" "Correct, Your Honor. She's been living in a motel for the past week and a half and is nearly out of funds." The judge looked at Patricia now. "Mrs. Chen, do you understand that your daughter is a legal co-owner of this property?" Patricia stood. Her lawyer tried to stop her, but she waved him off. "I understand that, Your Honor, but that house has been my responsibility for 6 years. I've paid every bill, every repair, every property tax payment. My daughter hasn't contributed anything." "That's not the legal standard for ownership," the judge said. "She inherited her share from her father. Whether or not she's contributed financially doesn't change her legal rights." "But it should mean something," Patricia said, her voice rising. "It should mean something that I've sacrificed everything to keep that house, that I've worked myself to the bone while she—" She stopped herself. "While she what?" the judge asked, not unkindly. Patricia's shoulders sagged. "While she figured things out." The silence in the courtroom was heavy. "Mrs. Chen," the judge said finally, "I understand this is difficult. Family disputes about property often are, but the law is clear. Your daughter owns half of that house. You cannot exclude her from it. You cannot change the locks without her permission. You cannot withhold her belongings. So what am I supposed to do? Just let her move back in?" "That's exactly what you're supposed to do." The judge looked down at the papers. "I'm granting the plaintiff's motion. Mrs. Chen, you are ordered to provide your daughter with a key to the property within 24 hours. You are further ordered to cease any interference with her right to occupy the property. If you fail to comply, you will be held in contempt of court. Do you understand?" Patricia's face had gone pale. "Yes, Your Honor." "Miss Chen," the judge looked at Maya now, "do you understand that this order gives you the right to live in that house, but doesn't resolve the question of what happens long-term? You and your mother are co-owners. That means you need to either figure out how to live together or pursue a partition action to divide the property. This court can't force you to coexist peacefully." Maya stood. "I understand, Your Honor." "Good. Then we're adjourned." The gavel came down. Maya felt her legs go weak. Lorraine put a hand on her shoulder. "You did it," she said quietly. Across the courtroom, Patricia gathered her purse and walked out without looking back. Her lawyers scurried after her, still talking. Maya watched her go. She'd won. She'd actually won. So why did she feel like she'd lost something too? Part 6. The Key. 24 hours later, Maya stood on the front porch of 425 Maple Street. In her hand was a new key, delivered to Lorraine's office in a manila envelope with no note. Rachel stood beside her. "You want me to come in with you?" "No," Maya said.
I think I need to do this alone. Call me if you need anything. I mean it. I will. Rachel hugged her tight, then walked back to her truck. Maya watched her drive away, then turned to the door. The key slid into the lock, turned smoothly. The door opened. The house smelled the same, that particular combination of my mother's lavender candles and the old carpet and something else, something that was just home, even now.
Maya stepped inside. Her mother was in the kitchen. Maya could hear her, running water, the clink of dishes. Normal sounds, domestic sounds. Maya walked through the living room. The photos were still on the mantle, her high school graduation picture, her father's Navy portrait from when he was 22, a family photo from before, when they were still whole. In the kitchen, Patricia stood at the sink, her back to the doorway. She was washing a single coffee mug. "Mom?" Maya said. Patricia's shoulders tensed, but she didn't turn around. "I got the key." "I see that." Patricia's voice was flat. "You're standing in my kitchen. Our kitchen." Patricia finally turned around. Her eyes were red. Don't do that." "Do what?" "Act like this is some kind of victory. You've won something." Maya set her back down on the counter. "I got back into my own house. I'd call that winning. You dragged me to court. You humiliated me. You locked me out. You threw away my stuff. What did you expect me to do?" "I expected you to grow up." Patricia slammed the mug down. "I expected you to finally take responsibility for your own life instead of running back here every time things get hard. I came back here because I had nowhere else to go, because I lost my job and my apartment and my boyfriend all in the same month. And I thought my mother would—" Maya's voice broke. "I thought you'd care. I did care. I cared so much I let you stay for 2 years. 2 years, Maya. 2 years of watching you sleep until noon and work part-time and make no plans for your future. Do you know what that was like for me? No one asked you to watch. No one asked you to judge me. I'm your mother. Of course I judge you. That's my job. To see when you're wasting your potential, when you're giving up on yourself. I wasn't giving up. I was surviving. I was trying to figure out what to do with my life after everything fell apart. For 2 years? Yes, for 2 years. Because that's how long it takes sometimes." Maya was crying now, angry tears. "And you know what? I did figure it out. I went to Portland. I got certified in web development. I have actual skills now. I have prospects. I was coming out here to job hunt, to get back on my feet. And you," she wiped her eyes, "you decided I wasn't doing it fast enough." Patricia looked away. "I thought tough love would help." "That wasn't tough love. That was just tough." The silence stretched between them. The kitchen faucet dripped. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3. "Your father would hate this," Patricia said finally. "Yeah, he would. He always took your side. That's not fair, isn't it?" Patricia looked at her now. "He always thought you could do no wrong. Every time you screwed up, every time you failed at something, he'd make excuses for you. 'She's just finding her way,' he'd say. 'She's figuring things out.' Well, I'm the one who had to live with the consequences. I'm the one who had to keep this house running after he died. I'm the one who had to watch you fall apart and not know how to help you." Maya felt something shift in her understanding. "You were scared." "What?" "When you locked me out, you were scared. Scared I'd end up like him, maybe? Dying young because he didn't take care of himself? Or scared I'd end up dependent on you forever? Which one?" Patricia's face crumpled. "Both. Neither. I don't know." She sank into a chair. "I just wanted you to be okay. I wanted you to be strong. And you were so not." "I was grieving," Maya said quietly. "I was grieving Dad, and my relationship, and the life I thought I was supposed to have. That doesn't mean I was weak." It looked like weakness from where I was standing.
Maybe you were standing too far away to see clearly. Patricia pressed her hands to her face. When she spoke again, her voice was muffled. I don't know how to do this. Live with you here, after everything. I don't, either, Maya admitted. But I'm not leaving. This is my home, too. Dad wanted me to have it. I know. Patricia lowered her hands. I've always known. I hoped you'd forgotten. Hoped I could just make the problem go away. I'm not a problem, Mom. No. Patricia looked at her. Really looked at her, maybe for the first time in years. No, you're not. You're my daughter. And her voice caught. I handled this so badly.
It wasn't an apology, not quite, but it was something.
Maya pulled out a chair and sat down across from her.
We need to figure this out. How to live here together, or whether we should sell the house and split the proceeds, or if one of us should buy the other out. Something. I can't afford to buy you out. I can't afford to buy you out either. So we're stuck. Or, Maya said slowly, we figure out how to make it work. Patricia laughed, but it was bitter. How's that supposed to happen after I took you to court? I took you to court. And it happened because you didn't leave me a choice. Maya leaned forward. Look, I don't expect us to be best friends. I don't even expect us to like each other very much right now. But this house is big enough for both of us. We can set boundaries, respect each other's space. Maybe eventually we can even talk like normal people. And if we can't, then in 6 months or a year, we revisit the selling option. But let's at least try. Patricia was quiet for a long time. Outside, a lawnmower started up. Normal sounds. Life continuing. I really screwed this up, Patricia said finally. Maya agreed. You really did. I don't know how to fix it. Maybe you start by not trying to. Maybe you just let it be broken for a while. See if it heals on its own. Patricia's eyes were wet. When did you get so smart? I had a good teacher. Dad taught me to stand up for myself, even when it's hard, even when it's scary. He'd be proud of you for fighting back. I think he'd be disappointed it came to this. Me too. Patricia stood up slowly, like her bones hurt. Your room is the same. I didn't touch it after I packed your things. Thank you. I'm going to lie down. I haven't been sleeping well. Maya watched her mother walk out of the kitchen, her footsteps slow on the old carpet. She heard the bedroom door close. Then she was alone in the kitchen of her father's house. Her house. The house that had almost slipped away from her, but hadn't, because she'd found the strength to fight for it. She pulled out her phone and texted Rachel, I'm in. Then she walked upstairs to her room. It was exactly as she'd left it. The same blue paint on the walls, the same posters from high school, embarrassing now but too familiar to take down, the same bed with the same quilt her grandmother had made. Maya lay down on it and stared at the ceiling. She was home. It didn't feel triumphant. It felt complicated and messy and uncertain. But it was hers. Epilogue 6 months later. The coffee shop on Main Street had good Wi-Fi and terrible coffee, but Maya had claimed the corner table as her unofficial office. Her laptop was open, lines of code scrolling across the screen. She'd landed a remote position with a startup in Boston. Entry level, but it was real developer work, and it paid enough to cover her share of the bills. Her share. That had been the agreement she and her mother had worked out with Lorraine's help. Maya paid half the utilities and property taxes. Patricia paid the other half. They split the groceries and took turns cooking dinner, though they often ate in their separate spaces. It wasn't perfect. There were still tense moments, nights when they avoided each other, times when Maya came home to find her mother rearranging the living room, furniture, and had to bite her tongue about not being consulted. But it was working, mostly. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from her mother. Dinner at 6, making that chicken thing. She texted back. I'll be home by 5:30. Home. The word didn't hurt anymore. A notification popped up on her laptop. An email from Lorraine. "Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to check in and see how everything's going." Maya typed back. "It's good. Complicated, but good. Thank you for everything." She sent it, then went back to her code. She had a bug to fix before her meeting tomorrow. Outside the window, October rain started to fall. Maya watched it for a moment, the way it blurred the streetlights and made everything soft. She thought about her father sometimes, wondered what he'd think of how things had turned out. The fight, the court, the uneasy peace she and her mother had built. She thought he'd understand. He'd always told her that family was complicated, that love and anger could exist in the same space, that sometimes the bravest thing you could do was refuse to disappear. She'd refused to disappear. And she was still here. Maya closed her laptop, packed up her things, and headed home through the rain.